group, but we still get to tape it for Wood County bonus points. So we're going to talk about bringing back the family meal today. And for some of you who have younger kids, obviously family meals, we're going to talk about why they're very important for younger children. But if those of you who have kind of teenagers or older children as well, why they're still important at that age. And then also leading up to if you have elderly parents, or we're kind of aging into where your kids are maybe have moved away from home and they come back for, you know, the weekend or whatever, but then also if you have aging parents, kind of how it fits for everybody bringing back the family meal. So I thought this was kind of a cute quote. So what is the family meal? Please pass the love, unity, and spaghetti. So what is a family meal? When we think of family meal, normally what do we think about?
Just everybody at the same table.
Yeah.
Yes, so everybody around the same table. Sometimes we get that image in our head that it has to be the mom, the dad on the two ends, and then the kids in the middle, you know, kind of that look to it, which it is, but it's basically just a one together to eat and talk. And I put live with, but do you really have to live with them? Not really, no, you can invite them over for the family meal. So I'm thinking in the case of elderly parents or moving out or just parents in general, inviting them back over for those family meals during the week or on the weekends as well. And it's a chance to cook together, eat together, and talk together. So in family living, when we talk about introducing kids to foods, the big part of it is letting them be part of the process. So letting them be part of the cooking, the choosing, and then obviously actually the eating, and then the cleanup as well, just because it builds all those healthy behaviors. So in family living, we're all about promoting those independent skills, and those of you who have older children maybe transitioning out of the house or going to be soon, is you want them to be able to fend for themselves. You want them to be able to know how to cook basic foods so they're not eating ramen noodles or going to McDonald's every day, because we know that that's not healthy. So when we do things, again, with younger families, we just try to encourage them as much as possible to get them involved. But also if you have older kids, to bring them back in the kitchen and have them be part of the process. So to not let them get away with it. So this is just a collage of pictures of how we tend to eat today. So you see that we are eating on the couch instead. We're eating with the girl in the top left corner where she is eating in front of the TV. Same with the two kids on the bottom. We're standing in the kitchen and eating, or we're doing fast food. And then the top right corner, this one right here, I'm guilty of. I usually eat at my desk at work here. So again, we kind of eat in all different ways. So again, bringing it back to that time together as a family. So what gets in the way of these family meal times? So time is a big one. We are busy from the second we probably leave here at 4:30 till we go to bed. We have lots of things going on. Money gets in the way sometimes for people. Money in the sense of just grocery shopping and being on top of it. We'll talk a little bit later about how actually you save money when you cook at home more, just because you usually meal plan and you also do smart shopping strategies, but then also the batch cooking comes in and what we call planned overs. And then what to make a lot of times, so I have 4 recipes out for you guys to try, and we'll talk about some other tips when it comes to what to make, but that is what happens a lot is moms or dads just get stuck after a while. Like, we kind of make the same thing over and over again. Like, how do we try to incorporate new things? And we'll talk about My Plate today as well, making sure that you're introducing all those food groups into your meals. But are there any other things that get in the way? So those were my big 3 things that usually I hear from families is what prevents them from sitting down around a table and having a family meal. Is there anything else in your individual families?
Just that sometimes, you know, you're not in the greatest of moods, so you don't feel like cooking, so your feelings can get in the way too.
Absolutely.
Picky eaters.
Picky eaters. Yep. Having the fight at the table. Okay? Anything else? Yeah, those are all important, or all things that get in the way as well. And also, related back to the time, it's not necessarily the time of day, but just having the time to actually like carve it out and actually sit down. So by the time you make the food, sit down and eat and clean up, that's a lot of time chunk that you have to come up with. So that kind of deters family as well. But the benefits of a family meal. So again, this is geared towards young children and teens, where this slide is. So physically, they develop and practice healthier eating habits. So related to the picky eaters, and also just in general if you have young kids, is that the more involved they are and the more you sit down as a family and actually carry out that family meal, the more likely you are to develop healthier habits. So at the time you're experiencing it, it may not seem like it's ever going to happen. But eventually, remember that it sticks with them, and they will display those same behaviors as adults, and they will carry those healthy behaviors with them. They learn self-sufficiency skills, such as setting a table, doing dishes, cooking the basics, or knowing the basics to cooking, basics of measuring. Those are all things. Because remember that in school, there was always a home ec class or a family consumer ed class. That's not always the case anymore. So they're kind of leaving school where they learned some of those things and they were able to come home and demonstrate them with you. They're not always learning all those skills in school anymore, those self-sufficiency skills, or schools are not backing up what you've taught them at home. So it kind of comes back a little bit more of what they are experiencing at home. Also related to the picky eaters and healthy eating habits is it takes at least 15 times, if not more, for someone, children, but then also adults, to try something before they will be like, yes, I like this, or I will eat it continuously. So 15 times. So think about if you're serving lima beans to your little kid. 15 times they have to try it before they'll be like, yes, I really like lima beans, or just something in general. And remember, it's about texture, it's about presentation, all of those things. So sometimes when we're tired and we just aren't feeling cooking at home, remember that that could play into your child not liking something. So just a personal example, I would rather have raw carrots over cooked carrots. It's just a texture thing for me. I'm not a big fan of watermelon as well because of texture. I'll eat it, but it's just not one of my favorites. So again, that's just a personal example of things where it takes a while for you to kind of get used to it. Mentally, we have stronger parent and child relationships. I just got something through my email today at Extension about bullying, and it was really interesting because the awareness of bullying is over 40 years old. So there was a Swedish psychologist that came up with, or did the first study on childhood bullying. So within the 40 years, just think about how much bullying has changed and how much it is such a big issue right now. But one of the most important things about bullying is that the family mealtime, so parents who talk with their children for as little as 15 minutes a day increase the probability that their child will come to them for help and advice. So in the case of kids getting bullied online or just at school, or all the things that we have going on in the world, is that just sitting down with your kids or talking to them for 15 minutes a day is increasing that probability that they'll come back to you and talk to you about things. So mentally, again, stronger parent-child relationships, less likely to report stress. So a lot of times with little kiddos, we think that they're not stressed out about things. And kids sometimes internalize stress or don't realize that they're stressed. And then less likely to use drugs and alcohol. So we know that those are very risky behaviors for kids as they're growing up. As a parent, that's hard to deal with, to know how to prevent and protect your child from those things so they make healthy decisions. Emotionally, it's a chance for you to connect and learn with them. Related to this, remember that for kids is that time you spend with them at the family meal table, you're learning about their day and learning what happened and what excites them, what maybe didn't go as well. So on the table there was a rosebud thorn activity that we introduced to Head Start, but it's a great activity to do with no matter how old your children are. So what was the rose of their day, the best part? What was the thorn, something that it didn't really go well for them? And what's the bud, which is something they're looking forward to? And it can be about anything. It can be about school, it can be about things that are going on outside of school, something you're doing together as a family, but we tend to do a lot of those things with little kids and forget that it needs to continue into adulthood. And then the last one is socialization and communication skills, and then the sharing of values and morals. That's a big one for parents, just because how do you instill values and morals with kids without preaching at them or getting after them about certain things, but just that time, you showing them that you value their time together and that time around the table is instilling those values. So again, this was for young children and teens, and I don't know how many of you have young children in the room or teenagers. But benefits of a family meal. So what about adults? So all those things that we kind of rattled off are all the same benefits for adults. Okay, so even though we tend to think we have to focus on all these things when kids are little, but it's just the same thing. So for instance, in my family, my father is a widow, and so just the dynamic of my family is changing. So him and I spend family meals together right now. So as my family changes, me moving on and getting married, it's going to be very important for him to have that family meal time as well, and a chance for him and I to still connect. And I have a brother that lives out of town, and when him and his children come home, it's a chance for my whole family to connect as well. So it doesn't change just because your kids are older and 18 and have moved out. It's just as important, and it's important as adults as that older adults get that time together as well. Because overall, we're building stronger, smarter, stronger, and healthier people with family meals. So being a healthy role model is part of your family meal time. Offering a variety of foods, helping to get all of your nutrients, eating your fruits and vegetables and whole grains with meals, getting creative. So someone shared a new soup with curry in it that they tried, and I put out some recipes that were a little bit different. Hopefully you haven't had them before, but it's something for you to try and tweak on your own based on what your family is willing to try. Also with Get Creative, if you have little kiddos, cutting things into shapes, naming a food after them, or just getting creative in how you present the food, which I know takes more time, will help with the healthier eating as well. Trying new foods, so being open to new things, not always eating the same things over and over again. So I grew up in a meat and potato family, so it was always a meat and always a potato, and then there was a salad and a fruit on top of it, and a vegetable, not realizing that your vegetable really was potatoes. And eating potatoes every day, they're very starchy, which you need starch in your diet, but not necessarily every single day. And then go shopping together. This would be very interesting if you have little kiddos, to try to take them grocery shopping. Sometimes a nightmare, but also for adults, shopping together as well. So just remembering to do those activities, because again, if you have young kids, they need to learn how to do all this stuff. Because right now they may think food just magically appears in the house and on their table. So getting them to realize that that's not what takes place. The one about eating fruits and vegetables and whole grains is, there's a couple handouts over there for My Plate that will help you a little bit with how to eat more towards My Plate. But the big thing that we know for people is we do not eat enough fruits or vegetables. So how do we do that, and how do we make sure we incorporate that into our family meal? So if you have young children, let them choose and serve their own food. Give them choices. So instead of just saying, we're going to have broccoli tonight, or let's have broccoli, you're giving them a choice maybe between broccoli and something else, and you're letting them take ownership in it. It will help you if you have a picky eater a little bit at the table when they're starting to buck having to eat the broccoli. It just will help, possibly help a little bit. Reward with attention, not food. This is a hard one for parents at times, is to not reward like with a candy bar or something sweet or sugary that they like, but to remember that reward with attention, not necessarily the food product. And then appetites vary. Sometimes we're just not hungry, or something happened, or we're just not feeling what you're making for the day. So just remembering that when you are doing your meal planning with young children. What does a family meal typically look like? It's usually around the table and family gathered together. But are there alternatives to a family table? So can I have a family meal someplace else? What would be an example?
The living room on the floor.
Yeah.
TV off.
Yeah. Having a picnic. Very good.
Outside by the fire.
Yeah, so in warm weather, having a picnic outside. Okay, going on a picnic maybe to one of our lakes or parks. Those are both examples. An alternative to the family table is, I always tell people that if you're a parent and you're rushing from activity to activity, sometimes that family meal does need to be McDonald's, and it does need to take place in the van. why we're moving from activity to activity, which is okay. If it's not happening every day, that's fine, but it's still that point in time for you to connect with your child and build those values as well. So sometimes if it takes place in the van as we're moving from dance to karate or whatever it is, that's okay. Other things related to the family meal is it doesn't have to be around the table sitting down. That's important, but again, it doesn't have to be that way every single day. The other things is also it could be going out to eat. It could be you're going, to something. So there's a lot of farms and things that do different, events where you can come to the farm and eat. So that's an example. The dairy breakfast, anything like that where you're eating together. So it's not always taking place around a table, but again, it's taking place together. You're focusing on each other, so she said turning the TV off. That is the big one, is not having a TV on. Not all families have a TV in the kitchen. Some do. Some have a TV really close to where you're sitting down, so someone at the table can still see what's going on TV. So making sure that that TV's off. This is a big one, putting away all electronic devices. I don't know about you, but going out to eat is when you watch families when they're out to eat, how many of you have noticed the families where both of them are on the phone the entire time and they don't say a word to each other? Okay? And if that's you, that's okay, but just remember that that communication is very key. And we're growing up in a society where we're more stuck down on our phones than anything, and we very rarely look up and have that eye contact with someone. So just remembering that that's important for both little kids, teenagers, and adults, no matter what age of the adult is to have that communication and that face-to-face social time. So putting away electronic devices, and the trick with this is I've never been to Buffalo Wild Wings before, but I just went recently, and they have those little fancy computers that they give you right away. And so my niece and nephew were all about them, playing. But then, before the meal came, it was fine to play with them, but then the second the meal came, they got put away, and then for the rest of the time. So just remembering that we live in a society which is very electronic. So remembering it's important at home, but it's also important out at the restaurant too. And so Olive Garden and some of them have all those things now on the table. So just remembering that those things need to be put away. And it's both kids and adults need to put them away. Talk to each other. That's the big one, that's the importance of family meals, is that interaction time. So again, the rose, thorn, and bud activity. Some people call it the pit, the pit of my day and the bud of my day. So you can, call it whatever you want, but it's just that interaction with the kids. And try to make stress-free. Sometimes as parents we have lots of things going on, or we kind of have a big to-do list, and so it seems to be sometimes a little bit more like a lecture of do this, do this, do this, do this, this, a little bit of a barking. So make sure that you try to make it as stress-free for your family as possible. And then last one is to have a special plate. I don't know how many of you ladies have done this, but I just found these at Target, and I bought them for my Head Start parents. But so it was $1. Actually, sorry, it's $3. Okay, but it's just a plate to, have your kids or someone, even adult, just use for the day. So you can do it on birthdays, or you can just do it randomly, that they get the special plate. And then maybe they get to go first during the rose, bud, thorn activity, or, they just get to talk first, or they get to talk the longest, however it works for your family. But just drawing attention to that they're special for that day. Well, they're special every day, but that, they get the attention's a little bit more attention is on them for that. These ones, like I said, came from Target, and they say you're special. Some people call it the red plate as well, so I don't know if you've ever heard of that. You can buy, and sometimes on the red plate they talk around, or they have writing around that says you're special or something, but it's a different plate than everybody else got at the table. So then there's, activities that go along with that makes them feel a little bit more special for that day. How to balance a family meal. Keep at a regular meal time. This is a really difficult one, is not everybody can eat at 5 o'clock every single day. It just is not possible. But as close as the regular time as you can get, that becomes really important, just because then it's something that it's on a schedule, the kids look forward to it, or adults look forward to it, and they know what's happening. Try to schedule things around that, which doesn't always happen. So if you're signing up for activities, you're taking classes as adults, is you kind of have to work your meals around those things instead of your meals working, or the activities working around your meals. Keeping it simple. is when I was putting together this PowerPoint, someone from a different extension in a different state had the statement, the magic is not in the food. And I thought that was really significant because a lot of times when we think of family meals, we think it's around what I'm making and I have to make this big elaborate meal. You don't, because the magic is not in what you're serving, it's in the time that you're spending together. And then don't give up as your family ages. So just the examples in my family as well, how to keep the family meal going even when your kids are older and they're bringing their own children in. So getting started, again, I'm not sure what your family meals look like now at home, but start with 1 to 2 meals a week, spending that time together around the table. Ask everyone to help with meal planning and shopping. So if you hate to meal plan and you hate to grocery shop, it might be nice to have somebody help you out. That's can be very stressful for some people. Look at the calendar and what time works best. So again, depending on what activities you have going on, what time works best for your family. Set some electronic device rules. Also related to this, just on a side note with the bullying, is they were talking about not allowing children to have 24 access to electronic devices. So being able to be on their phone whenever they want, the tablets, the computers whenever they want, keeping track of that. And I think the same rules apply to adults, is you shouldn't be on that phone 24 hours a day, taking time away and spending it with your family or doing some other activity. And then don't get discouraged, keep trying. So even though it didn't work, the first few times, don't give up and keep sticking with it. So there's a family goal sheet. It's geared more to if you have younger children, but it definitely can be modified if you have older ones, just to kind of keep going even though things get a little bit difficult at times. The other thing is there's a dinner themes handout that was on there, and it's just a bunch of different things that you can kind of try at home related to different foods. So if you're getting stuck on what to meal plan, or you're just getting sick of kind of making the same thing, that dinner meals handout will hopefully help you. So just to give you some examples, or what's on it if you didn't pick it up, is pasta night is on there, taco night, vegetarian night, seafood night, so we live in Wisconsin, so that might be Friday, grill night, build your own pizza, kids favorite, or slow Sunday are just some of the examples on there. So the one that I'm going to try is, I really like the tomato basil soup from Applebee's, but I want to try to make it at home with myself. And I tried one time and it did not taste like Applebee's. So just to try the soup and sandwich one day. So again, maybe everybody builds their own sandwich. That would help with maybe your picky eaters or offering that variety. It could be everybody has the same sandwich, but again, trying a new soup, trying something different. So back in previous slides, we talked about getting creative, but then also sticking with something that you know. So getting creative in the soup, but sticking to a sandwich that you know that the kiddos will eat. So the dinner themes help because the kids can pick themes if you have young kids. Otherwise, if you're stuck as an adult and you feel like you kind of are making the same thing, which is what I feel like sometimes, it gives you a chance to branch out and try something different. And when we work with younger parents, or I work with younger parents, it's easy to say, okay, we'll take the calendar for the week. Well, Monday is going to be pasta night. It's Taco Tuesday, and then just kind of give them a theme each night, and then they can pick the food that they actually want to make for those nights. Allowing helpers. So again, if you have little ones at home or maybe grandkids, is help plan the meals out, help them write the grocery list. Quick and easy jobs because they have a very short attention span. Be a taste tester. So that's a big one. Remember safety and sanitation and teach proper behaviors. Because again, as they're younger, we want them to move out of your house and we want them to be able to fend for themselves. So there's a kitchen activity sheet if you have little helpers, because I think the ages are 3 to 5 on it. So if you don't have little kiddos, it's really not geared towards you. But I'm also going to say that this helper helps with, or is perfect for adults too. So if you kind of grew up in a household where mom did all the cooking and dad didn't really help, this is a good one as adults get older to kind of help do it together. So it's not always just on one person. Meal planning and grocery shopping, look at your schedule and plan out meals. I tell people sometimes if you work a 9 to 5 job every day, it meal planning maybe works for you on Sunday night. Maybe that's a good time for you to go grocery shopping and plan out the meal so then you're ready for the week instead of kind of flying by the seat of your pants every night. Just because we notice for meals is when people don't really know what they're making every single day and they're going to the grocery store every other day or every day, you tend to spend more money. And if you're going hungry, you're definitely spending more money because you're grabbing everything that is really easy to open and eat because you're hungry at the time. So just remembering to schedule it out, plan your meals out. These 4 bullets in the middle are very important because through Choose My Plate and just because this is Wood County Wellness and overall trying to eat better, these are the 4 tips that we promote to people. And if you listen to the heart health one that was last month, she talked a lot about eating towards my plate and eating the food groups, and she talked about eating colorful and having a variety. So these 4 bullets will help with that. We know that people do not eat enough fruits and vegetables each day. So try to make half of your plate every single day fruits and vegetables. Easier in the summertime for us in Wisconsin to eat more fruits. They're more available, they're cheaper in price. A little bit more difficult in the wintertime, I would say, for people. But making sure you strive towards that each and every day. Making half of your grains whole grains. So again, reading the label. You're going to see a change in labeling as we move into 2018, which I know seems like a long way away. You'll see it'll be easier to introduce whole grains into your diet. It will be easier for you to know the added sugars in products, and you'll see a difference with serving sizes. And then lastly, also with any foods that are labeled low fat or low calories or low sodium, what that really means for you as a consumer. You will see changes in all that because finally, after all of these years, we have realized people don't understand labels. They need to be clearer for people to understand. Choose low-fat and fat-free dairy options. So again, if you're a big ice cream eater, limiting how much ice cream you eat, but maybe trying a different dessert instead. And then choosing a variety of protein. So again, meat and potato kind of family is what? We can eat beans or something else that will give me protein other than just meat every day was very, like, that can't happen in the Siegel house. That's weird. So just introducing those things. And related to whole grains, is how many of you eat a lot of whole grains right now? Perfect. If you are a family like mine where it's a struggle to get it to be introduced, try half and half options. So half and half of the pasta that's whole wheat and the other half the pasta that's regular pasta. Same thing with rice. They do cook a little bit different, so just be aware of that. But just introducing it slowly and play around with brands. Every brand of brown rice and whole wheat noodles tastes a little bit different. Same thing with bread. So kind of explore with your family. And then stick to your grocery list. Do not get sucked into the sides of the grocery store, the end caps, or what they have on special, because a lot of times it's really not on sale. They've just moved it based on what time of year we're in. So right now you're going to see a lot of things related to Easter. It doesn't necessarily mean that things are on sale. They've just moved them because they know it's a traditional Easter product. Quick and nutritious meals. So I gave you 4 recipes to try. Garden vegetable cakes, which could be vegetarian or breakfast nights. Palaloose, which is a soup mix, so for soup and sandwich night. Wrap It Up, which could be kids cook night. I like the Wrap It Up one because it gave lots of options of what to put in a wrap. And then Caribbean Feast could be taco night. And again, it's just a recipe, it's a starting point. You can take it and do something else with it if you want. And then lasting impact on family meals, it's about the quality time, not the quantity of time. So if it is 5 to 10 minutes of time, it's still about how you spend that 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, it doesn't have to be these huge 2-hour family meals in order to have an impact on your family. These are just all the things that we kind of laid out on the table for you. So we have the kids activity sheet, again, if you have young kiddos or grandchildren, dinner theme nights, the meal goal chart, the rose, thorn, and bud activity. I think I put a choose my plate out one as well, and then the 4 recipes. So lots of goodies for you to grab, and then we put things on our Facebook page and then our extension website as well. And then I guess, do you have any questions for me?
Are little kiddos, I mean, like, I don't have a grandson who's 6.
Mm-hmm.
Can I move him to 1% milk, or should he stay at 2% until a certain?
Nope, you can move them to 1%.
Mario went to skim at 3.
Yep.
Which was, yeah, his mom was all, oh my gosh, you can't do that.
Yeah.
At 2, we go from whole to 2%, and then at 3, we drop down.
Yeah.
And that was pediatrician approved, by the way.
Yep. 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 And that's an easy one too. Is as we start younger, is fluid milk is one that's a easy way for you to cut out, you know, some of the fat. And some people, I married a dairy farmer, so he would say, no way, 2% or whole, or he would drink it out of the bulk tank as well, which we do not encourage that. So, you know, it's dependent on the family, but from a nutrition perspective, I would say move to 1% and then move to skim as well.